Ms. Sun Xueling.
Mr. Speaker, the government is transparent about what it sees on the horizon, that our spending needs will continue to increase due to healthcare expenditures for an aging population and the need to renew infrastructure. Some members before me have spoken about how they wish more can be done for our seniors, about what more can be done to address inequality. We will have to match these needs with the resources that are needed to do so. That is the responsible thing to do. And that is why the Minister of Finance has announced the need to raise GST in the foreseeable future to be able to match these increasing expenditure needs. In my speech, I would like to touch on how we grow our economy so that we have more resources, jobs, and tax revenue from a more buoyant economy to meet our needs, so that we'll have more to address the various issues that members have raised before me. Second, I would also like to touch on how we ensure government spending is used effectively and efficiently. This is so that resources collected from the public can be used to best address needs. Mr. Loh, who has spoken before me, spoke on the importance of leveraging on ideas and new technology. I have a specific suggestion. We cannot grow in a vacuum. We need to have contact points into globally innovative cities so as to have global access to ideas and technology. The Minister of Finance and his team have spelled out their plans through the GIA, Global Innovation Alliance, and the ASEAN Innovation Network. I support the Global Innovation Alliance and the ASEAN Innovation Network, which are ways for us to be plugged into the ecosystem of ideas and new technologies. We currently have many Singaporeans working and studying in the region. Singaporeans familiar with the venture capital and private equity circuits, and Singaporean firms and their partners with investments in these cities. Apart from strengthening our bilingual and bicultural skills, I suggest we more deliberately build our networks and leverage on them to sense-make and get a better grasp of emerging trends in Asia. Open platforms to bring in various partners to widen our reach and understanding of new developments and establish linkages back into Singapore to provide more opportunities for business and partnerships. Second, we should invest in priority areas which are central to our economy and which can also develop new adjacent avenues of growth. Our aviation and maritime industries today account for 10% of GDP and close to 170,000 jobs. Our mega investments in Changi Airport Terminal 5 and Tuas Megaport will continue to build on these strategic sectors. Our investments in these sectors can provide us a strong platform to develop new avenues of growth if we continuously reassess what the most valued part of the sector is. Data and the use of data, for instance, have emerged as a change agent for many industries and spawned new businesses and business models. For airports and ports, there is a lot of data from the travelers and trade that pass through our shores. Can this data be monetized? For instance, can we create our own global online travel company, given the amount of data we have about the preferences of travelers? We can also leverage on data to market to travelers even after they have left our shores. The Aviation and Maritime Transformation Program described in this year's budget thus builds on our capabilities in the airport and seaport. We should challenge ourselves to mine these sectors for new development opportunities. Third, we should equip our people and our companies to take advantage of new opportunities. Continuous skills upgrading is thus critical. Skills upgrading allows workers at different stages of their work life to catch up on skill gaps, which, if left unaddressed, could lead to long-term income gaps. Skills upgrading and training has thus been a key initiative in successive budget plans. I would like to suggest that to maximize outcomes from training, that we encourage company-based training as training initiated, envisaged, and monitored by companies are most closely tied to market needs. Further, to ensure that our young Singaporeans are ready for the workforce, I would like to suggest that internships be made available to all youths above 18 years old from the Institutes of Higher Learning. Internships can provide youths a reality check on the skills needed for the workforce and complement the education they receive from the IHLs. Lastly, I support the capability transfer programs that are being piloted in certain specialized fields. This is used, for instance, to bring in experts in data analytics, machine learning, and AI to facilitate the transfer of specialized knowledge to our local professionals in fintech. This is timely help for our companies and industries which are facing skill gaps in certain important fields. I would next like to discuss how we can ensure that government spending is used effectively and efficiently. Monies collected could have been left in our citizens' pockets as their personal savings or for their own care for their families. I appreciate the value for money initiatives that the Minister for Finance explained in his budget speech and acknowledge that at 19% of GDP, our government expenditures are prudent comparatively. However, I hope that government agencies can constantly challenge themselves to manage cost while delivering good quality services. I have 3 micro-level implementation suggestions. First, government agencies should always strive to negotiate the best deal with suppliers when it comes to government procurement for the benefit of taxpayers. For instance, with the need to build more healthcare facilities for an aging population, there is scope for economies of scale via centralized procurement of hospital supplies, equipment, and IT software. And as the country steps up public renewal works, there is scope to discover what various agencies are procuring, and if there are overlaps which allow more streamlined purchasing and better leverage. A well-thought-through centralized procurement process may also go beyond simple demand aggregation to require standardization of product needs across institutions. I hope that the Ministry of Finance can look into this actively to ensure that we are not being charged different prices across different institutions. DSTA and SUSS recently launched a certificate in procurement for public servants. I hope more will be trained through such a program. Second, I would like to stress the importance of assessing asset purchases via a life cycle approach so that costs are managed over the entire life cycle of the asset. This is especially important when we look at assets that have a long life cycle, like lifts and rail parts, which are intended to last 25 to 30 years. Cash flow projections should take into account their maintenance costs and lifespan of their replacement parts. Given the challenges in projecting cash flows, in-house expertise may be required to make a fair assessment. Government agencies such as the HDB, for instance, should consider having businesses such as EMS develop lift expertise so that they are able to make a reasoned assessment on the costs of maintenance and replacement. In the meantime, greater care and scrutiny needs to be put into purchase contracts to bind suppliers to their promises. Third, I would like to see greater collaboration between the public, private, and community sectors to configure resources to deliver optimal outcomes. The Finance Minister described the community network for seniors. I have seen how private operators like Grab Shuttle Plus complement our national transport infrastructure by introducing buses to Punggol during off-peak hours and serving residents who stay in less populous areas. And in Gambas, the community came together to buy and share umbrellas rather than spend public monies building a high-sheltered linkway, which may not provide good cover for residents from the rain. We should be open and enthusiastic in encouraging different configurations of public, private, community contributions to deliver optimal outcomes for citizens while minimizing the burden on public monies. At the end of the day, everybody wins. Mr. Speaker, no one likes higher taxes, If increased spending is here to stay because we have to take care of our elderly and renew our infrastructure, let us seize the opportunities to grow our economy and revenues and at the same time make every tax dollar count. Let us be united in our vision and apply our energies correctly. Only then can we overcome the challenges we face and create a stronger, better Singapore. Mr. Speaker, in Chinese, please. 议长先生，几位国会同僚提到希望能多照顾到年长者及弱势群体。这次的财政预算案就是针对如何最好分配资源，如何创造最大的经济蛋糕，来支撑我们日益剧增的开支，好让我们更能非常好的、有效的照顾到我们的年长者，来照顾我们社会中的弱势群体。因此，我希望讨论以下2点。第一，为了经济的持续繁荣，我们要勇敢地把握长期的大趋势，开拓新的商业机会，加强新加坡在重点行业的竞争能力。经过几十年的努力，新加坡在港口、航空等行业取得了成功，这是前辈们在充满不确定性的环境中勇敢探索出来的。作为新一代的新加坡人，如果我们不去勇敢地追求成功，只能变得平庸。因此，我支持政府对樟宜机场5号航站楼以及新达士港口的投资，这显示了新加坡不甘落后、自强不息的决心。当然，今天的产业链和50年前的不同，甚至和10年前的大不相比，已经有了很大的变化。互联网和大数据对交通运输行业产生了颠覆性的影响。逆水行舟，不进则退。我们应当顺应长期的大趋势，勇于探索产业链上的新商机，例如交通大数据、网上旅游服务等领域的战略机会，这样才能在国际竞争中立于不败之地。要抓住长期的大趋势，就需要把新加坡与国际创新中心链接起来。因此，我非常支持全球创新联盟计划 （GIA）。同时，我建议在 GIA 的框架下，建立新加坡人的国际网络，让海外的新加坡人也为新加坡的发展贡献力量。另外，本土的人才的培养也至关重要。无论是在职的工作人士，还是即将踏入职场的年轻人，都应该让他们更接近现实市场的需要，确保职业培训由市场来主导。第二，在政府支出增加的情况下，我们要确保政府花钱花得有效率，要尽最大的努力用好纳税人的每一块钱。财政收入来自纳税人辛苦赚来的血汗钱，因此，政府在管理成本方面，除了需要一个健全的体系，有时还要从微观管理出发，激发每一个政府人员都有心去为人民省点钱。例如，在保证购买产品和服务质量的前提下，政府应当尽可能地与供应商谈判，获得最佳的合同，并通过集中采购、产品标准化，达到规模经济，降低采购成本。同时，应当以全周期的方法来评估采购的成本，对长期成本进行有效的控制。另外，政府还可以与社区组织和私人部门合作，优化资产的使用。议长先生，花钱看效率，赚钱看能力。我希望我们不要陷入零和游戏。面对日益剧增的政府支出，我们需要更有心地为人民省钱，更细心地规划支出，不断挑战自己，提高花钱的效率。面对日益剧增的国际竞争，我们要敢于加大投资，敢于拥抱新趋势、新科技，不甘落后，自强不息。谢谢。